Welcome to Switzerland. I'm Isaac, and this is the story of how I got here. 76 years ago, Leonard Wiebe was born. He grew up on a farm in Kansas. His family had always been farmers, but Len wanted something else, and that changed everything. Joanne Banman was born when Len was 5. While Len was stuffing cats into mailboxes to prank the mailman, Joanne grew up with her sisters, some miles away. She was also born to Mennonite farmers and dreamed one day of leaving home to experience more. They were my grandparents. About a year ago, my grandparents passed away, and they left some money to my parents. My mom decided, along with her siblings, to travel to Europe. Not just for a trip, but because my grandpa was a Mennonite pastor his whole life, and they thought it would be fitting to see the place where Mennonites came into being.
So, we decided to pack up our bags and head to Switzerland.
Switzerland is known for this. It's everywhere. They're also known for cheese and mountains. What is less known about Switzerland is its history of Anabaptist suppression, yet that is what we came to see. We started off our trip Sunday morning at the Mennonite Evangelist Church in Basel, Switzerland. Basel is the former home of the only Anabaptist seminary in the country. While we're talking about Anabaptist education, let me clear up a few things. Anabaptists aren't the opposite of Baptists. Mennonites can look like anyone. And if you're curious, Mennonites aren't Amish or polygamous. From there, we drove to Bern, famous for its bears that roam the public parks. Bern is often referred to as the capital of Switzerland, but in fact, Switzerland has no capital. That's intentional. The country avoided naming a capital to prevent centralizing power after it became a federal state in 1848. Ironically, early Anabaptists also believed in decentralization of power, symbolized by their early meetings in homes and adult baptism, which took power away from the Catholic Church. In a couple of days, we're going to have the 500th anniversary of Mennonites in existence. This marks the 500th anniversary since the first Mennonite baptism in Zurich, Switzerland. There's going to be a big reunion of Mennonites on this specific bridge in Zurich that I am very curious and excited to see. From Bern, we left the highways of the countryside and headed to a castle prison named Truxelwald. Here, Mennonites were imprisoned and sometimes even executed for their beliefs. In recent years, the Mennonite Church purchased the castle for $1 to have it turned into a museum. Now, far more unpersecuted Mennonites have visited than were ever imprisoned there. As the sun set, we made our way up the mountains towards Mürren, our home base for the next few days. As far as I know, Mürren does not have historical relevance to the Anabaptist movement, but what it lacks in relevance, it makes up for in sheer cliffs. Literally. Like, the only way up is via cable car, and we were so late we had to wait for an hour for the next one. Not quite as fierce as the postcard depicts, but close. Here's where we were staying. And this is our view. Thanks, Oma and Opa. Wish you were there. From Mürren, the world is your cowbell. Wherever you hike, you will hear them, the cows and the bells. We were there in summertime when a lot of Mürren actually makes no sense. Like, how can a rural mountainous farming community separated by huge cliffs from the rest of the country build a huge tourism industry? It doesn't make sense. It's beautiful, but the weather is super unpredictable. And what were those, like, poles and weird nets and cables and bunkhouses in the middle of the pasture? So the answer to that is actually skiing. So you see, in Switzerland, winter transforms these mountains into a skier's paradise with bunkhouses, beds, lifts, resorts for every tourist, and so it becomes a hot spot and tourists go crazy for it.
The final destination on our Switzerland tour was Zurich. It was where thousands of Mennonites were gathering to celebrate 500 years of Anabaptism. To get there, we had to pass through Lauterbrunnen and its iconic church spire and waterfall. Almost as iconic, the cheese vending machine at the base of the waterfall.
From Lauterbrunnen, we bused to Interlaken, rented a car, and started the rainy drive to Trauferhöhle, the Anabaptist cave. We arrived late once again, and the fog was really setting in, creating a very mysterious atmosphere. This was once a place used to gather and worship during governmental persecution. It had the three qualities of an unlawful sanctuary. It was dry, it was remote, and it had good acoustics. It is likely, but unproven, that Felix Manz, one of the first Anabaptists, came here fleeing persecution. So, it was fitting that after we sang and said a prayer, we sprinkled a few of my grandpa's ashes in this historic place. And the next day was the celebration. Even the morning of, I had only a vague idea of what it was going to be like. I knew there were going to be talks and talkbacks and singing and exploring. In reality, it was like a convention, except that each lecture hall was in a different church within a few blocks of the Grossminster. That meant that between every session, you could walk a few blocks to the next location. It was incredibly generous of all these churches to let us use their space, and the generosity didn't end there. The Protestant Reformed Church gave out free ice cream as reparations for centuries-old persecution. The day ended in the Grossminster with a church service. My brother Theo got to sing with the choir. We even got to cool down in a public fountain, where it is said that the first baptism occurred. And that is my trip to Switzerland. Thanks for watching.